Welcome to Out Past the Rings, Volume 66. Today we're talking about the World That Summer Nionde Plagan split 10-inch. Bubble. That came out on February 8th of 2017. We'll go through the 10-inch itself and its contents before we talk about the history, because that makes more sense. So, this 10-inch was released on Zegma Beach Records, Through Love Records, Dingleberry Records, Laser Life Records, Long Rail Records. I'm going to stop saying records. Dead Punks, Pun Donor, Suspended Soul, Stack Your Roster. That was much easier. Okay, so not only are there a lot of labels on this, but there's a little more copies than we had anticipated. For one of the only good record pressing plant stories that I know of happened on this release, where it starts out pretty terrible, tourable. The plant sent 300 records to the to Jonathan in Sweden, in Nionde Plagan, after they were finished being pressed. I guess like 3 weeks later, they're like, "Oh, guess what? We lost that shipment, so we're gonna quickly press 300 more and ship those out to you." So in like a week, Jonathan got the records, and then whatever it was, a day later, or maybe it was the exact same day, got another shipment of 300 records. So the original shipment arrived, as well as the free second run replacement copies. So this, instead of a 300 run, is actually a 600 run, but we only had to pay for half, so that's good. We still have some copies in the ZBR store, although we are running low. Has been out for a couple of years at this point. So let's delve into the songs first. The Nionde Plagan songs are in between frustration and reflection, and it's noticeable that this is in between those two. I think the first track is a little more frustration-y, a little heavier, darker sounding, while the second track, I'm not going to try to pronounce these, is lighter, poppier sounding and sounds more like the stuff on Reflection. I probably prefer, actually, the second track, although I am generally a heavier kind of guy. And then for the World That Summer songs, we had 3 of these, and this is kind of out of order. I think this came out after the double 12-inch. No, before the double 12-inch. That's what it was. But these are definitely the last songs that we recorded. Just the chronological thing doesn't really work out due to the double 12-inch taking a long time to be released. Wire was stuck under the chair wheel. So the first one is "What Is Dead May Never Die," which is essentially the initial version, the demo version, was recorded during our first recording session with the Apostles of Eris split songs, and a couple of the double 12-inch songs. So we wanted to redo this one, and we redid it a little too quickly. I remember at the practice before we recorded, Jesse and Steve were trying to figure out the right speed, and lo and behold, it might have been a bit fast in retrospect, but it still sounds good, and it's probably a little more realistic to what we had played live as opposed to what we would play in the practice room or in a recording generally. There's a fair amount of Game of Thrones references in there, and I don't know, it's got a bit of an amber feel because of those dark, slow instrumentals that I like that build. I think in terms of instrumentally, this is by far the best World That Summer release. Heat Death Parties or the Bomb Man is like our stab at a sassier number. It was not the intention. For whatever reason, the song just came together in what in my head sounded like a sassy song. I was like, I love Blood Brothers. I'm going to try some, not sound like Blood Brothers, but let the influence flow out of me, and we'll say. And that was a really fun song to play live. All 3 of these songs we actually played live quite a bit. The last one, I really liked the effect that Mike Smith put on my vocals in Heat Death Parties near the end, where it makes me sound like a monster. Very cool. And then Moth Volcano is probably, well, no, it's the best recorded song that we had. That started with, before practice, Mike and I, the bassist, were talking about, I found out that he loved Brian Cook, and I found out that I think that he had not delved into These Arms Are Snakes' old material, so I was going on about These Arms Are Snakes, or he didn't know about the Harkonnen split. I don't know, it was one of the two. And we had said that Mike hadn't really started any songs, so we're like, hey, why don't you write a riff? And that's the riff that started that whole song. And so I guess it's like the These Arms Are Snake song, but it's way harder, much more in like an Old Man Gloom or, I don't know, something else category. I don't really know how to categorize us. Anyway, so that was the last official recording for the world that summer. I'm going to talk about why these songs are on here. Oh, Heat Death Parties of the Bomb Man was initially supposed to go on a 7-inch with Wretched Portals, which is a song that we dropped relatively early on in our time together. So when we realized that wasn't going to happen, we were like, this song can go somewhere else. We wanted to redo What Is Dead May Never Die. We kind of always knew that. That's why we released the initial one as a demo and didn't really have anywhere else to put it. And then Moth Volcano was initially titled Faction Religion because we were writing an LP, at least during the first part of 2016. We had songs that spanned years, and there was supposed to be like different factions of people who were alive at that time. Anyway, so there was Faction Humanity, Faction Religion, there was 2028, we had 2029, we had 2030 written as well, and after I said we were moving to New Zealand and stuff, it kind of just scrapped a lot of the songs. We decided to do this split, and then I think the intentions were to do the last 2 or 3 songs on just whatever release, I don't know, but that didn't end up happening. We were all too busy and just didn't get to record the songs before the band ended. Well, let's have that move us into Ollie from World That Summer did the art for this. There's a fair amount of cool stuff in there. This is the insert for the 10-inch, and then I just wrote up the Nionde stuff in Swedish on the other side there. Came on black. Nothing too special there, but it works. Oh, the art. Jonathan told me about this. This is a picture from a fair time ago of some horrible leaders in Sweden. I believe it's a party, and they were just terrible people and so forth. And then recently, the same party began to gather a following again, and it was kind of like history repeating itself. So the whole point was here's the picture of the terrible old people, and then here's a picture of the terrible old people in a newer time. So let's see that. Oh, Ollie also did our merch stuff that we would have at shows, so I saved some of this stuff. Like I said, I've got some set lists. We got to play with a bunch of amazing bands. Besides, I don't think I have a poster for it. We played with Lentic Waters at a show, which was also with Respire, La Luna, and someone else who was really good. I forget. Lock Tender. Our release show was with Terry Green and Fox Mulder and Saren. Not too bad. We also got to play with Julian Carter and Hammerhands and Respire in Hamilton. That was really fun. We got to play with Not For You, La Luna, and Saren again in Hamilton. Here's a show with Islet and Fox Mulder and Wimp City in Hamilton. And we played Cambridge one time in a basement show with Respire, La Luna, Black Love, and Terry Green. And that's at Nate, Megan, and Berto's place from No Funeral Records. The guys in the World That Summer didn't really continue the band after I had left. I mean, they kind of started to, and it just sounded like it didn't really work, but they play in different bands together now that are not the World That Summer. I don't know all their names. One of them was Jesse and the Delusions of Grandeur, which was Jesse's solo project that Steve started to help him with, and then I don't know if I think it's morphed into something else now. But this is a poster that my friend Sally made. Well, no, she made this thing, and then I did all the rest. I feel like there were some good bands. Oh, Fond, which was Animal Face's new band, Shaman and Weather Lore, which I guess is pre-Soul Glow. Pretty cool. I think it's worth mentioning that Jesse's a stand-up dude, and here's a nice little card that he gave me for Christmas, which I'm a pretty big fan of, just a very factual statement about Christmas. It is Christmas, I know. Dear Dave, I wanted to make sure you're aware that it is Christmas, so here are two friends having the same discussion. Love, Jesse. It's my kind of sense of humor, that. Okay, so I forget what the next Out Past the Rings is, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, I guess until next time, just try to dress up here.
Doesn't seem like it's working very well. Yeah, it's just...